podcast, you can wait 20 seconds and start speaking.
Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session of the Battery Innovation Days. This is this panel discussion with an interesting presentation about the job creation and bridging the skills gap across the European battery value chain. I'm Silvia Bodoardo. I'm working in the electrochemistry group in Politecnico of Torino, and I am also responsible of the work package on education and new curricula for Battery 2030. This is a very interesting topic, and today we will have a presentation given. We will be proud to get this presentation given by James Copping of the European Commission, and it will be on jobs creation forecast and needs for a competitive and sustainable battery value chain. Then we'll follow a panel discussion on job creation and evolution in battery industry, and a small session on with Q&A question and answers. So please, if you have any question or something to ask, use the Q&A section here, this the button on the right hand side of close to the chat. Use it, and we will also use your question to ask to the panelists. So I'm very happy to introduce you James Copping. He's policy advisor at the European Commission, and he will give us an interesting presentation on job creation forecast and needs for competitive and sustainable battery value chain, as this is a very urgent and important topic in Europe. Thank you, James. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and good morning. Thank you, Sylvia, and good morning to everyone. Thank you also to the organizers for inviting me to speak at this event. I want to set out a few thoughts on how we meet the substantial and skills challenges we are facing in the battery value chain in Europe, which is also turning into a very strategic sector for the European Union. And I approach this topic from the perspective of the European Commission, where I work, and I am responsible for coordinating the work of the European Battery Alliance and more broadly on skills, amongst other issues. Let me start by making the obvious point that Europe is undergoing a green and digital revolution that will have a dramatic impact on all the aspects of the European economy. Europe's emerging battery ecosystem is at the forefront of this revolution, as batteries are the key enabling technology for the switch to zero-emission mobility and energy storage. While this revolution will lead, we hope, to our overall objective of climate neutrality in 2050, there will be, in the short term, significant disruptions to our economy and, as a consequence, to our labour markets. There will be a rebalancing between traditional job roles with a heavy environmental footprint to creating opportunities for new, more cleaner jobs. The EU needs a labour market providing highly skilled and qualified workers required for the new production processes, not just in the battery sector, but in other technologies and environments as well, and in the new strategic value chains. Skills gaps, if not addressed, will not only slow down the development of new critical industrial ecosystems, but may also hamper the much-needed structural change of the economy at the heart of this transition. Climate change policies pursued by the European Commission, such as the recent Fit for 55 package adopted in July this year, and related national measures, will help and foster a significant expansion of cleaner jobs. The European battery industry in Europe, supported by the European Battery Alliance, is a case in point. The sector has grown in Europe from almost nothing from 4 years ago, with European companies having around 3% of the world market. Now it's generating a multi-billion dollar, million euro investments every year, an estimated 60 billion in public and private investments in 2019, and again in 2020. This is far more than in China, for example, although obviously starting from a much lower base. Equally important, it's expected to generate 3 to 4 million jobs by 2025. While some of this will come from directly supported EU actions, for example, the 46 research projects notified under the Second Batteries Important Project of Common European Interest, which was established in January this year, involving 12 member states. This is expected to create at least 18,000 jobs across the European Union. All of this is, of course, welcome and should be celebrated. And I'm sure this week we'll have heard many stories of European success in this area. However, this success is bringing its own challenges. The continued growth of the European battery sector depends on our ability to address the skills challenge that is fast emerging. This is particularly acute in the area of batteries, as a specific set of skills and experience is required due to the focus on high quality, high volume, and highly digital production, often involving handling of chemicals. There are much greater experts on the types of skills required on this panel, but just as a general overview, we can see that the skills are required in a number of areas. The battery production, such as chemistry engineers and technicians, and engineers with experience of pack design, cell modules, battery discharge, recycling technologies, etc., really across the whole value chain of the batteries. But equally important, industry are reporting a lack of suitable candidates in the area of industrialization and mass production, such as the industrial design, engineering and management of this, factory simulation, planning and logistics, assembly operators, etc. So it's really generating a whole new range of needed skills and experience. This is such a particular challenge in batteries, and I hear many reports which suggest the issue facing the production are, firstly, that there is the reason for the shortage of this. Firstly, there's little European background in mass battery manufacturing. Very few people have the experience of, or even understanding, the production process on all levels, from operator to management. There's a severe shortage of people who know how a battery cell is produced and the different steps required. While Europe is relatively strong on research and development within batteries, energy storage, etc., there is a lack of experience in the industrialization phase and the manufacturing of batteries. Certain batteries are often reporting that there's a lack of skills and experience with the high volume manufacturing in Europe in general. It is especially difficult to find highly qualified people with a PhD in relevant fields who have also worked in a manufacturing environment. And sometimes when it's possible to recruit from industries that have similarities in the manufacturing flow of batteries, there's often a lack of experience in dealing with the specific requirements of the battery sector, with its focus on quality, high volume production, digitalization in production, manufacturing with high cleanliness requirements, and the handling of chemicals. In practical terms, battery companies are having to devote considerable resources in recruiting and retaining qualified staff. For example, companies like Northvolt are constantly recruiting, and if you go onto their website, you will see there are always a large number of vacancies across the whole of the production area. And interestingly, part of the solution for Northvolt has been to recruit from across the world, and I see on their website that they have currently 103 different nationalities working for them. While we certainly do not want to prevent highly skilled people from coming to Europe and sharing their knowledge and experience, the challenge for the EU and then particularly in the European Commission here is to ensure that there is a far greater pool of qualified European workers for the industry to recruit from. In addition to filling new posts, there is a major up and reskilling challenge. InnoEnergy estimates that approximately 800,000 white and blue-collar workers will need to be and upskilled in Europe by 2025, roughly 160,000 workers per year. So what is the Commission doing to help? Skills policy is a very high on the Commission's agenda. It has also been a key priority since the European Battery Alliance was launched in 2017. The skills agenda for sustainable competitiveness, social fairness, and resilience, launched in July last year, calls for a paradigm shift on skills. This agenda contained a number of flagship initiatives, including the Pact for Skills, which has led to the creation of a number of industry-led partnerships in different industrial ecosystems, providing for concrete commitments for and upskilling of the workforce. The automotive sector was one of the first to launch such a partnership in 2020 with the creation of the Automotive Skills Alliance, which also looks in the area of batteries. The Commission has also fostered and financed several pan-European skills initiatives to support member states and industrial actors in and upskilling in the battery ecosystem. The scope of these initiatives ranges from assessing skill needs, identifying and defining future job roles and competencies, to certifying curricula and identifying, enhancing and testing the training offer. A key initiative is the Blueprint Alliances for Sectorial Cooperation on Skills, established under the Erasmus Plus program, which aims at creating new strategic approaches and novel forms of cooperation between key stakeholders, such as the industry, social partners, research, education, training institutions, public authorities, etc., and to really develop concrete skills development solutions. In our area of these blueprints is the Alliance for Batteries Technology, Training and Skills, ALLBATS. This has the objective of contributing to the electrification of transport and green energy in Europe by designing a blueprint for competencies and training schemes for the future in the battery and electromobility sectors. It was launched in January 2020 and will be completed by the end of 2023. While we have some time to wait for the final report, it's already producing considerable interesting data and reports, as well as many informative webinars. And I highly recommend anyone not yet familiar with ALLBATS to look at their website and follow their activities. This research project follows another blueprint, a development on the research on innovative vocational educational skills, or DRIVES, which is looking at the automotive sector as a whole and is due to complete its work in the first quarter of next year. There are, of course, a number of other areas, and particularly in the area of research and innovation projects, such as the Planet and Battery 2030 Plus, a sponsor of this event, funded by the EU, which have a strong skills component to identify skills gaps and develop training materials. All these projects and initiatives will be essential in developing a long-term framework for identifying skill needs and strategies to meet them, and mobilizing and networking relevant industrial social partners, educational providers, and providing training and related material. However, the rapidly expanding skills gap in the battery ecosystem calls also for a much shorter term, local and regional programs aimed at delivering training on the ground across the EU. The BID2021 Academy program, developed by InnoEnergy, is a good example of a readily operational scheme that can deliver large-scale regional training. And there are already academy schemes established in Spain and France, with more to follow. The Academy is closely working with ALLBATS to ensure there's a good two-way flow of information experience between them. To ensure the future success of the industry, there has to be sustained investment in the next generation of battery technologies and related areas. It is also, I think, a key factor in attracting young people to work in this area. And under the Horizon Europe Framework Programme for Research and Innovation, the Commission has teamed up with the Batteries European Partnership Association, an open association now counting around 190 members, well balanced between industry and research institutes. Together, we have established an ambitious co-prime partnership on batteries called BAT4EU. BAT4EU takes an important step forward in terms of both ambition and scope, setting aside nearly a billion euros to address the full battery value chain from raw materials across battery cells, modules up to second life and recycling. In its first work program, with a total budget of 293 million, BAT4EU is addressing many high-performance lithium batteries technologies for transport applications in view of the high strategic importance of this technology. A very important goal of the Batteries Partnership is the development of workforce skills and curricula to ensure that Europe is not only technologically and competitive, but also has the industrial force to be a world-class player in battery production. BAT4EU envisages to contribute to the creation of between 900,000 and 1.3 million jobs along the battery value chain by 2030. To achieve this goal and to support the commercialization of battery technologies, BAT4EU will work with Energy. The future of battery ecosystem also depends on developing a modern legislative framework. In December last year, the Commission proposed such a framework so that only high-quality batteries are placed on the market and that they are produced with low environmental impact using materials that have been obtained in full respect of social and environmental standards. They must also be long-lasting and safe and be able to be recycled at the end of their life. It's vital to get this legislation in place as soon as possible, which we hope will be by the end of 2022, to reassure European consumers about the quality and sustainability of batteries on the market and provide the confidence for industrial investment and planning on which future jobs depend. Apart from research, the EU is bringing substantial financial resources to tackle this issue. Under the EU's long-term budget and Next Generation EU, the EU is dedicating 1.8 trillion euros to support sustainable recovery of the economy. And all major EU programs have a strong skills component. And the Commission is encouraging member states to use the funds to develop skills projects in their countries on a national and regional basis. Some examples of these different programs is the Recovery and Resilience Facility, which has a budget of 672 billion and has skills as a flagship investment part of it. There's the European Social Fund, the European Regional Development Fund, the Just Transition Fund, and the Recovery Assistance for Cohesion and the Territories of Europe, all with budgets measured in billions. So there are substantial resources there to support skills, although of course these funds have other priorities as well. Just in conclusion, while there are enormous challenges to be faced in re- and upskilling the workforce, I think it's important that we must remember that this is a good news story. Europe is becoming a global leader in battery technology and production. However, this will not be sustained without a growing pool of suitably qualified workers. The challenge is to continue to feed this growth through European, national, regional, and local schemes. The European Commission is doing much to contribute to this process through investment in research and development, providing substantial financing which member states and regions can use to develop skills programs, direct support for programs such as AllBats, and providing legislative basis to encourage further investment into high quality and sustainable batteries. Of course, this supplements what industry is doing already and existing planned national and regional schemes. This must be a collective and sustained effort. There's no magic solution to solving this problem, but there are the resources, and I believe the political will to do so. And thank you very much, and I look forward to the panel discussion.
Thank you very much, James, for this very interesting and seminal presentation that will open for sure for next discussion of the panel. We'll turn now the microphone on. I hope you can also participate to this panelist. So if you have something to add, you are very welcome. So the panel now starts with the participation of Dimitra Maleka. She's Edu Project Manager in EIT InnoEnergy. Then we have Ana Cristina Martinez Maciel. So I'm starting from women. She is a Young Research Awardee. We have to compliment with her as she won the prize given for young scientists here. So very happy to have also here you now. So she was the only woman, and very good to to get her here. And then we have Robert Dominco. He's head of battery group of the National Institute of Chemistry. He's also representative of MESC. That's the doctoral school of this master for PhD students. And then we have also Axel Thielmann. He is head of Competence Center of Emerging Technologies in Fraunhofer Institute for Systems and Innovation Research, ISI. And finally, also Hubert Chapoteau, that's the head research vice president of ACC. So thank you very much for participating and for being here for this discussion. I hope that question will also arrive in the chat here. So just to start, I have some curiosity or something to ask you. First of all, what do you think will be the biggest challenges to be faced to create and ensure a sufficient number of qualified employees in the sector? Also considering long-term perspective, after what that James told us, we have a really big lack of employees in Europe. So which are the biggest challenges, what we have to focus on? Maybe Alex or Hubert want to start answering.
Okay, so
please, Alex.
First, yeah, thank you. So I think that James really pretty much addressed all those topics a lot, and I would like to differentiate a bit along the value chain. We all know if we're talking about a huge number of jobs and mainly and upskilling measures. But we also are looking along the value chain, factory production, for example. More than 1 terawatt hours have been announced for the next 10 years already. About 50,000 jobs we would see here, but that it has differentiated along the upstream value chain coming from this material processing components. Here we would see in total about 300,000 jobs, and then towards 1 million and more jobs if you also count with the downstream value chain and the OEM and also circular economy, including recycling and so on. So job profiles and the needs, the concrete needs will differ along this value chain, but there will also be same aspects like the often digital mindset, which is needed, soft skills are needed, which are common along the value chain. To organize this transition and to address the needs, which in concrete means create training offers for industry, for SMEs, all along the value chain with the right content will be and it requires to have some kind of human resource pipeline, maybe, so that young people are trained at universities, at research centers, and so on, and later on go into the industry. But also we need to refuel this pipeline then. Most of the jobs set with reskilling, upskilling are maybe more vocational training, which can be done in 1 or 2 years. So this is different to pure factory experts, for example, the electrochemists and so on, which are needed maybe in key positions. And key positions might be the large infrastructures and production facilities which are built up, where we need process engineers and high education level experts. So besides that, I hope you still hear me. Okay, we would say that mobilizing this future workforce also across Europe, we will see emerging hotspots across Europe. I think James mentioned the different nationalities at Northvolt. So this will be relevant also for these emerging hotspots to exchange experience, to bring people, make attractive environments for them to go there. And yeah, finally, I said a bit about the cross-cutting skills which are needed. Especially, I would like to express the need for the digital mindset, for IT, software skills, data analytics, and so on, where we also have seen that it's difficult to find those people because they might have more attractive jobs in other sectors. So we also see some kind of risk here that not only in the battery sector we need people with certain profiles, but also we have overlaps with other, not only along the value chain, but also across different sectors. And finally, to build up this circular economy we are facing, I would say the concept of train the trainer, to have multipliers by hand, will be more and more important. But I guess we will have we will discuss more about this multipliers in the next step. So that's my input so far.
Thank you. Maybe Hubert or somebody else
Yes.
want to add something, please, Hubert.
Yes, thanks very much. So first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Coping for his very bright introduction of the subject, because I think that whatever has been said is completely accurate. Second, if you allow me, I just would like to take just 15 seconds to introduce my company, because maybe not every one of you is familiar with ACC. So ACC stands for Automotive Sales Company. It is a company which has emerged both from the IPCEI, from an initiative of the European Union, at the same time of the will from Stellantis on the one hand and the Total Group on the other hand, and now with the support of Mercedes-Benz, who has announced the willingness to join our capital, and let's say our manufacturing and investment program for the next decades is to build 2 gigafactories, one in the north of France and one in the west of Germany. What I would just like to add, and I must say to Axel, I don't know if it's the case for everyone. I had trouble hearing the first part of his speech because of maybe little audio issues, but maybe it's on my side. To answer the question quite quickly, I would like to say that, in my opinion, the 2 biggest challenges connected to the competencies are the speed of the change and the lack of initial expertise on this market. Speed of the change, because I mean we have very clear, let's say, CO2 emissions target that have been set by the European Unions, with very important step in 2030. This means that it is a huge challenge for especially the automotive industry to adapt and to change its settings to be able to cope with such a change. It is probably the biggest revolution since the birth of the automotive industry, in fact. So the point is, whatever competencies have to be transformed very quickly. to fit and to meet those new objectives. And then it let's say it emphasized the second point, which is the lack of original expertise. I am really confident. I mean, we have very bright people in Europe, very bright students, and great educational facilities. So I do not doubt that those entities will be able to adjust very quick the learning and teaching programs they offer to their students. The problem is, to train people, we need trained people. We need people who are already trained. And so this explains why, and once again, it refers back to what Mr. Copping was saying. This is already a global market, because people who are experienced in batteries, they are Asian people today. It is as simple as that. And so this is the reason why all let's say competitors on this market, including in Europe, turn their eyes to Asia, because to launch the process and to learn by doing as well, from a concrete point of view, we need some competencies that are for the time being missing in Europe.
Thank you very much. I would like to start from this last point, asking who should take care of the staff training. Really focusing on what Hubert was saying about the immediate need of trained people. So who should take care of the staff training? The companies directly, or universities, or the big European consortia, for example, Battery 2030, EBA Academy? Do we have enough trainers, or do we need to train the trainers? Alex already said something about. So who should do this? Maybe Dimitra, as you are part of this big group.
Thank you, Silvia. It's a very good yet complex question, of course. So we already heard from Mr. Copping and Mr. Thielman that it is expected that several hundreds of thousands of people along the value chain in Europe will need to be trained, upskilled, and reskilled in the next years to meet the industry needs that are also increasing continuously. Now, each of them will need to obtain specific knowledge and skills, and these also be continuously improved along with the evolution of technology in the market. So it's very urgent to see who can take this on, to first understand this demand for education and training, and also how to cover it. That's the second part. And of course, we already saw that this needs to be done fast. And I believe Mr. Copping mentioned already the importance of the close collaboration between the several actors. So you mentioned already the industry, academia, training providers, so many relevant European initiatives such as ALBATS, Batteries Europe, Battery 2030 Plus, EBA Academy, but of course also the governments at the European level and locally. So it's good to mention maybe here that this is exactly the reason why around a year ago, if I'm not mistaken, we started this informal group of these European initiatives on battery education and training called the Day3 Battery Network that most of you are part of. Now, what, for example, we do at EIT No Energy through EBA Academy is to try and give this kickstart with our existing content to various training providers and training schools across Europe so that the effect can be multiplied. I believe Axel mentioned the multipliers. We need to multiply the effect fast. And this content needs to also be updated according to the evolution of the sector. So the goal, I believe, is to collaborate not only with the training providers, but also with the industry and the different European and local initiatives, because this need is of such scale that not one can do it alone. It requires collaborative efforts, information exchange, so that we can all move fast, ramp up the education and training, and meet this demand. So each training provider, training school, vocational school, university, everyone will have to play a role locally in order to achieve this, and all the rest at the European level. And if I may add here that it's increasingly important to also receive continuous input from the industry itself on their needs to understand how the skills will need to basically evolve within this sector so that we can follow up with new trainings. And there are already some of the actors working on this. For example, Albats with the sectoral skills intelligence, Fraunhofer, EBA Academy, Batteries Europe, Battery 2030 Plus. We all have our bits and pieces of this, and we are combining now together our strengths. And I believe we need to take this collaborative effort. And you also asked about training the trainers. Of course, this will be of great importance in the next few years, because we need to have the trainers needed in the next 5 to 10 years to help this multiplying effect, in the sense that this will allow to train the next generation of experts and next generation of trainers and so on. And on this, I would like to say in that sense, it also requires a collaborative effort. It's not a one-man job. That's what I would like to add on this.
I fully agree, and so the question that follows that is related is that as these and also following what Hubert was saying before, and James, there's a clear number of positions that will be available very fast in all sectors of battery production. And this will increase a lot in next years, thanks to the realization, the setting up of the European gigafactories. So what do you think are the topics on which a young person should focus in his training to become particularly active and ready to be easily employed in these gigafactories? Maybe Robert, Anna, you can both answer. Let's start from professors and then go for young people that really can give us some.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Thank you for this question, and it's a good question, actually, which we need to focus. What are the topics? But if we start with this question only for gigafactories, okay, then we know what we are aiming. We are aiming production. We are aiming engineers. We are aiming some material scientists, not so electrochemical scientists. We are aiming electrical engineering. We are aiming also mechanical engineers. And of course, with that, we need to develop also business models. We need to develop also IP engineers. There is a large, actually, a bunch of different expertise that we'll need. But I would not only concentrate on this, because battery value chain is much wider than only gigafactories. So we need to start from the beginnings, from the mining and processing, where we even need to some maybe geologists, and where we need also material scientists, chemists as well. And then going through the battery materials, through the cell pack manufacturing, safety aspects, testing, and so on, at the end to application and recycling, second life. We see that mostly all these technical sciences will be needed. So I think there is even not any technical science that is taught now at our universities that is not needed. Especially we need that also with together with soft skills, together with the business education, also proper business education for certain part of the people. If I just give as an example, this Master Erasmus Mundus mask that I'm also representing here at this session is already covering part of that, and those people, that young people that are educated, so far we already educated 16th generation. They are all highly employable. They all have good positions, also in Europe, mainly in Europe, and we are covering only part of that, and so this is only a small stone in the large mosaic that we are building. So please, maybe Anna, you can add a few things out of that.
Sure. Well, in fact, I am an MESC alumni. I was MESC 12. I was part of that generation. So I'm very happy to hear about this program, because indeed it trained us to be very competitive in the sector of energy storage and conversion. This is what actually got me into the PhD that I obtained with Renault and Amiens, a laboratory in Amiens. So yeah, I'm very happy to hear about that. I totally agree that we need to have people trained in technical subjects such as electrochemistry, mechanical engineering, computer engineering. Although I also see the necessity, when I was a part of the team at Renault, the necessity to have people that understand the basics, at least, of data science, of data processing, because this is how, in fact, the industry is obtaining performance data, consumer experience data that can actually nurture and improve the performance of the batteries that are already in the street. That is the case of the car industry, but it's also applicable to consumer electronics and others. I will also like to add that besides this technical knowledge, I think also languages are something very important today for young people. I was looking for a job very recently before I started the postdoc that I am currently in. And I could tell how valuable languages were. For example, in Umicore, they needed people to know Korean. And it's something that when I was a kid, I didn't think I will need in the future. So I think it's important at least to have the basics of language. Of English, of course, is the language that we need. But I think also starting to be trained in languages that our collaborators will speak, it's also important. As an example, when I did the PhD with Renault in France, I could tell how important it was for them that I speak French. All of them knew English, of course, but it was just more personal sometimes to speak in French. So I could tell it was important. So I had to improve my French at that point. And I see that today I am working in the US, and I can tell with our partners from abroad, I can tell how important it is, at least to know the basics from their languages.
Thank you very much. This is a very different, let me say, also point of view, because we are strongly focusing on technical aspects. Just last minutes of this section, I didn't hear speaking about digitalization, for example. And so my question is maybe more for Hubert. What are the expectations of recruiter when it comes to hiring young people ready to work in Gigafactory? It can be also digitalization, something necessary for future employments. And what are you looking for?
Thanks very much, Sylvia. Question crystal clear, and the answer is not so easy. I may say what I would like to say, first of all, underline that your point is perfectly right. Digitalization will be critical, and if I can extend the wording, I would say that data will be critical. This industry will be a very data-driven industry. There are data everywhere, and let's say the technicity of all the processes we use and we implement involves lots of data, hundreds, thousands of data, and our capability to treat them and to learn from them will be critical for the efficiency of the battery industry in Europe. So yes, it is a very important side of the competencies we will look, and we already look on the market. This is this let's say data friendly attitude and data knowledge from our applicants. Regarding the rest of the competencies we need, because there was also the question in the chat. I mean, if we just talk about the Gigafactory, maybe not the whole let's say battery activity, but if we focus on Gigafactories, in a nutshell, there will be two different types of key competencies. If we talk about let's say the initial settlement and the construction of our facilities and so on, we will need very strong process engineering competencies so that we are able to settle the machines, all the processes and so on in the proper way. So we need people capable to conceive that and to implement that. But there is also the blue collar side, if I can put it like this, which is the capability to, let's say, to make the production and the manufacturing go smoothly and efficiently on a daily basis. And for this, we think that we will be able to use lots of competencies already present, especially in the automotive industry. Automotive industry, which, by the way, has a very strong challenge to reorient people, to retrain some people, to ensure sometimes the full reconversion of lots of people. And we think that we will be able to help those people to retrain and to learn the additional competencies they need on the field. There is probably an accompaniment to be done by let's say, the training institutions. But at the end of the day, what matters the most is the field training, capable to empower the people to turn from maybe a traditional and relatively simple machines to do, for example, engines manufacturing in the current automotive industry, to people capable of conducting, piloting installations in a gigafactory.
Of course. Okay, thank you very much. It was very clear. So now it's time for the Q&A session. And I immediately start with the first question that is appearing in the Q&A section. So please, if you have additional question, please write here. And there's a very interesting question that I really, which I want to focus, is that the position paper on education and skills task force prepared by on behalf and by the European Commission states that women should be empowered to be more active through the battery value chain. What can be done concretely to address this challenge? Also here we are a minority, let me say, even if there's a lot of push, of course, to get equal numbers. And let me say that I want to know what do you think about the leadership more than to get equal numbers of female and male in panels and so forth. So it's a very broad and difficult question, but this is a big push. And so do you have any ideas or helps that can be done? Robert, Alex, Hubert, the male, starting from males here.
Thank you, Sylvia. If I can start
sure.
from examples that we have again, I'm back to MESC school, and I'm back also to the doctoral school Destiny, which is co-found project co-financed by European Commission. So in both cases, I'm a member of the panel, and what we are taking care that we have gender equality during the selection. This somehow can be done quite easily without problem, because female colleagues that are applying for both programs are so exceptional that sometimes we have even higher female acceptance than male acceptance. But of course, then the life is unpredictable, and sometimes it happens that ladies are going in different directions than males. Yeah, that's our message from Destiny and MESC program.
Okay, additional points?
Just a very quick comment. Maybe I'm gonna surprise you, but to me, equal figures are not a priority, because what matters the most is competence. And as it has been said by Robert, in a bunch of 10 people, if I find six women that are worth it, I will hire the 6 women rather than 6 men out of 10. we have to give priority to the competence, and it is no doubt that we have great female competencies. So in my opinion, the question is always, you know, I've been working for the automotive industry for 20 years before joining ACC. The problem is to have maybe sufficient, let's say, sufficient number of female convinced by the idea of working for those industries. And so I think that what is very, very important is that we have to promote the battery industry and the industry as a whole towards this public, if we want to be sure that we will convince enough women to join. This is my very point. But this is it is no doubt that we can offer great career to women, and with the same level responsibility as men.
Thank you, Alex. You were asking for.
Yeah. So I would also like to share some observation looking at 10 years ago with a smaller battery community, a lot of technical experts, mainly men and little number of women. And also what we've said during the discussion, that the job profiles are getting more and more complex. It's not only technical tasks, it's also soft skills and management of processes and so on. So much more diverse, much more complex, where we know that maybe that there will be also more and more younger women who are interested in such profiles and in such work. And my personal observation, looking at past battery events, I have followed that from time to time I see more and more women also around in the younger generations. And so I hope, and I also think that this will change also with what we are facing now in this time of Corona, with different role models in families as well, that there will be hopefully natural change towards more and more women in those jobs.
Thank you, Alex. This is a very important point. Please, Dimitra, maybe you wanted to add something.
I can just simply second what Axel mentioned. When I joined engineering more than 10 years ago, we were a handful of women in the room. Now I see as the years pass already, there are more and more young women wanting to join, for example, engineering. They're thinking of a PhD in this field. And indeed, we just need to proactively get them to understand that this sector is also open for them, advertise this sector, make them attractive. The sector, make attractive the sector.
I fully agree, but I think also I would just to add that there's also a question of leadership, as I told before. So we can get equal numbers of women that also are commonly graduated before, and sometimes also better. But then to reach a higher level or careers is much, much more difficult. But I want to take just the last few minutes remaining for an additional question, as I can see other question and answer here. Mainly for Anya, if I can. So if you were a young woman or man in Europe today, first of all, would you have expected so big and so large, fast evolution in this sector? And what question would you like to ask those are governing us to guarantee you a sustainable and long-term future in this section? And what do you think to propose for future?
Thank you, Silvia.
Maybe we start from you.
Yeah, thank you, Silvia. This is very, this is a complex answer. I will try just to be concrete. So I was already born into a world that knew batteries, right? Primaries mainly. But I could see since I was a kid that renewable energy sources were something very important. Therefore, it was expected that the area of energy storage was going to grow at the same time. However, I am indeed surprised about how fast energy and power of portable devices increased in little time. and how actually electric cars became a reality. That was something surprising for me. It's something I would only see in cartoons. So yeah, I think I was expecting this, but not as fast as it occurred. And now regarding the second part of the question, if I have questions for the people who govern us to guarantee the sustainable future in this sector, yeah, actually, if something from the past months, from the past years, is that things can change very fast. Unexpected world events can occur. So I think my question will be, how much of a priority is energy storage in the agenda, if this will be a priority regardless of whatever else happens in the health sector, for example?
Thank you. This is very, very clear. There's somebody else wants to add something, some request, let me say, for European Commission to guarantee sustainable future in the field, because then we will reach a plateau, let me say, in the development and not in the development, mainly on the number of employees. What we are expecting, where we have to push. Please, Axel.
Yeah, I would like, so I think we have addressed most of relevant points, but really I like to point out again the missing link somehow, which is the large volume production of battery cells, which we still do not have. And if you look at that, we have to say today still we have predominantly Asian players who are creating the locations here, and we are facing a huge challenge to build up European battery production capacity, let's say by European players, and also to get into the different steps of the value chain. So to the component suppliers, we know, for example, from BASF that they want to have a significant market share also as component supplier. Umicore already is strong, and we hope for others as well all along the value chain. And also, if you look at the USP or if you look at what makes the production competitive, we discussed about that. Of course, digitalization is very important. It's a cost factor, and this, or let's say, to produce competitive cells at low cost, the question of scrap is very important. So to reduce the scrap, to have a process control, and this is not only a factor of investing into production, but also to have the knowledge and the control of the processes. And that shows that this knowledge factor is getting more and more important, and therefore what I'd like to say in summary is that having experienced people in complex projects in large volume production will be very important across the different sites and across the different locations which will be built up. I hope, or I guess, that Hubert Chapoteau will also underline that or ask for your opinion on that.
Please, if you have something to add.
No, I think what Axel has said, what Axel has said is very key. The stakes of let's say material and especially metals and chemicals procurement in the upstream phase, as well as recyclability in the downstream phase, are absolutely critical as well for the future of this industry. You are right insisting on that, and by the way, this also let's say enlightens another domain of competencies that we need to explore, and in which we need to acquire some talents, if I can put it like this, meaning the quality and let's say the social responsibility of the procurement is key, and also the recyclability target, which are very, very high, more than 90% of recyclability targets for our company, for example, is also something that is key. And I think that we will have also some, let's say, a collective improvement to do.
Thank you very much. This session is closed, so thank you very much for joining this session. Thank you very much for all the speakers here. And please do not miss the next one, section on industrial innovation updates that will succeed the road of lab to market at 12:15. So thank you again, and see you soon on these screens. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Very interesting presentations and discussions.